Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Look Mac Talks. We are still on our way to Under the Doom 2025, and I couldn't be happier than I am today because I have with us Herr Morbid. Yes, from the band Forgotten Thumb. He's one of the main bands that will be playing in Lisbon, and we are going to speak with him a little bit to know everything that he is going to give us in this concert. Ferdinando, Herr Morbid,
Hey,
first of all, thank you for accepting our invitation and welcome to our talks.
no problem. Cheers, everybody.
It is a great pleasure because you are a very creative person. You create this band in 1999, I suppose, and
Yeah,
you were alone. You didn't have nobody with you. I want
yeah.
to ask you, what led you to start this journey, and what were your main influences back then?
Back then, the main problem was that there weren't many musicians around here that could play in such a band, this
Mhm.
kind of music. Previously, I had a couple of demo bands, especially one was already playing black metal called Sacrater. But we disbanded, so it was like I already had some songs written for that band originally, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna just go and record everything by myself because I could do that. So except for the drums, it was very difficult to find proper drummers back then. So I was like, okay, I will record a demo EP, which was Obscura Arcana Mortis, using those songs that I originally wrote for the Sacrater, for the past band. And I will use a drum machine on that. And after that, I was like, okay, this was all right, but I'd like to do something more personal. I wanted to do something more, sounding more depressive, more where I could express my feelings and darker feelings. And back then there wasn't a depressive black metal scene as today. There were like some proto depressive bands from the 90s, but there were not many. So I was like, okay, I'd like to mix all my influences and try to add something more personal, do something a bit unheard of, because back in the end of the 90s, most of the black metal bands, they really wanted to play very fast and this sort of stuff with satanic lyrics or war lyrics, this sort of stuff. And I wanted to do something completely different. So I was influenced mainly by Burzum. I know it's not popular these days, but musically speaking, it was awesome.
Of
And
course.
Thorns, the demos of Thorns, from Norway, and Strid, Bethlehem, early
Mhm.
Bethlehem, and Paradise Lost, early Paradise Lost, that sort of stuff, and also dark wave of the 80s. I was very influenced by Joy Division or
Yeah,
the
pretty
Cult,
cool.
yeah, Death Cult or Christian Death, Sisters of Mercy, one of my favorite bands. So I try to mix everything together, also traditional doom metal, this sort of stuff. And yeah, hopefully I managed to make something that was a bit different from what was around back then. And of course, it evolved over the years, incorporating other influences and getting more personal, but yeah, that was mainly the reason why I started playing in this style.
Mhm. Over the years, the band is no more just you. You have a full lineup. And I would like to ask you, what motivated you to do that change? Why are you not alone anymore?
In the beginning, it was because I wanted to play live shows, and so obviously I needed a lineup to back me up. And the first lineup was assembled from friends, like
Mhm.
friends I played with in earlier bands. and other people from the scene. So the first couple of lineups were kind of session players, so to speak. Uh, I'm not sure it's
You
still.
changed.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it's doing it.
Now it's okay.
Okay.
Technology, technology.
Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, so I was saying the early lineup were session players, but
Hmm.
after a while, I wanted people that could support me the whole time, on long term. And so I met with. I was lucky enough to meet a bunch of guys that were working both in terms of playing and in terms of personal relationships. And so the first official lineup was around 2003,
Hmm.
and we stayed together for quite a long time, like 11 years, with the first guitar player, and then with the other two guys, the drummer and bass player, have been together for forever, basically. The drummer left last year, but the bass player, Alex, is still there. So we've been playing together for 22, 23 years at this point. Yeah.
A lifetime almost.
Yeah.
And the name. Why
Yeah.
Forgotten Tom? Tell me all about that.
The name it came actually from the song titled "Forgotten Tomb" that was included in the first demo EP. Uh, uh, it was a concept I came up with back when I was a teenager. But basically, I was envisioning this tombstone, like. Lost in the fog, in this other dimension, not in an earthly dimension. It was like a dimension where all the humans were dead, like not existing.
Hmm.
So it was a bit of a weird concept. Like it was a depressive concept about imagining having a tombstone, all by itself in a dimension that is not on this earth, something like this.
It could be being lost in the universe.
Yeah, I mean, it was like being away from the human field, so
Hmm.
to speak. Like it was a completely misanthropic concept, like to have this to die and to be buried in this other dimension, not in like a sacred ground or on earth, this sort of stuff. So yeah, it was about that, like having this tombstone forgotten by everyone in a unearthly dimension,
Hmm.
something to that extent.
Hmm. You came from Italy and from a place called Piacenza. I think we
Yeah.
can say like that. Did it influence you in any way? I don't know your town, but did it influence you any way your aesthetic vision or not?
In a way, yeah, because it's a rather small city, and when I was younger, there wasn't much to do. It was a bit of a boring place. So, a lot of people, when we were teenagers, they started getting into I don't know, drugs or
Yeah.
getting shit faced and doing this sort of stuff. And it was a bit depressing actually to be here. And the weather is weird because it's not what you imagine about Italy. Most of the time it was raining or a lot of fog. The summer was scorching hot. So not a great place to be, and quite an industrial place. So this urban landscape was very inspirational. The grayness of it all, brought from the industrial landscape and the weather. It was everything was very gray. So that was very inspiring in a way, and
Yeah.
um, yeah, mostly that. Yeah,
You are speaking of a place that could be Manchester from Joy Division.
yeah, yeah. In
Ve-
a way, that's the
ve-
sort of concept,
Very similar.
Yeah, it's places. I mean, uh, it's one of those places like when you come from here, you don't expect to go too far. That
Yeah,
sort of stuff. Like,
yeah, I do
and
understand.
I don't come from a from a rich family. I'm like a regular guy, and it was difficult to find people to play with in a band. So it was a bit of like it's not known for having many artists and this sort of stuff. So it was a bit of a challenge in a way, and I'm glad that somehow I managed to bring the name of the city in the world, because
Yeah.
there aren't many people in the city that can say that actually.
Oh yes, I do.
Except
I
for Giorgio Armani, probably, but well, that's a different story.
That's
Yeah,
another story, another story.
yeah.
Well, looking back, um, what do you feel about the evolution of the band since the early albums like Songs to Live and the last one, Night Floating? How could you analyze the evolution of the band and of the sound and of your own as a person during this period of time?
Yeah, obviously, the band evolved according to how I evolved as a person over the years,
Yeah.
because it's been a long time by now. And so when I started, I was basically a teenager still. I was like 19. And now I'm 45 in December. So it's a long, chunk of life, and a lot of things happen during this time. So I think it's natural that the music kind of follows this personal evolution. I think the basics of the band, like are still there, like some elements of our sound, they've always been there, and I think they will always be there. But I always love to explore different things. I get bored very easily, so I try always to get inspired, by trying out new things. Sometimes they work better, sometimes not, but still I'm pretty proud of all of the records we have done. I don't think we ever did a really bad record, but some people might disagree, but I don't care. So
Exactly, that's
you
the
know,
point.
yeah, yeah. Still, I think going forward, like in these recent years, I felt the need to revisit a bit the stuff I was doing in the beginning of the band, like the more black metal oriented stuff, depressive stuff, because I don't know, probably when you start aging a bit. You don't feel this need to be different at all costs, like always trying to be ahead of the competition, always trying to do something weird just for the sake of being different.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I created something that means a lot to people. There's still like younger people listening to the early
Uh,
records that I did when I was like 20 years old. So I was like, I feel like revisiting some of of that stuff, but with the experience that I accumulated over the years as a musician, of course. Now I have a lot. I have a wider palette to paint, my music. So it will never sound exactly like the early stuff, but the feeling is very similar. So that's what I've been trying to do for On Night Floating, for instance.
that's a beautiful description, like a palette, and you are making the all those beautiful paintings, music. It was very, 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 very beautiful. If I ask you, how would you describe today the sound of the band? What would be your answer? Black
Uh,
metal?
Yeah, I think we are in the black metal category, I guess. But it's always been difficult because even on the first record, yeah, it was black metal, but it incorporated a lot of
A
doom
lot,
metal
yeah,
elements, a lot of dark metal elements. So it's always been difficult. Even also critics were always having a hard time, writing reviews and because yeah, it's not too easy to pin down. In a way, I think it's a good thing.
yeah.
And but on the other hand, these days people seem to have a necessity to pin down everything with some label. Like if when they can't do that, they get pissed off. Like okay, this is not black metal. This is not doom metal. You kind of disrupt their certainties. It's always weird to listen to or to read to reviews of my records because most of the time I don't agree with what they're writing. So because I perfectly know what I'm doing, but people sometimes they don't. They seem to be unable to,
To understand it.
you know. Yeah, yeah. So these days, I'd say we are a depressive black metal band, but in a wider sense.
Yeah.
We are a depressive black metal band, but with a lot of other stuff in it, I guess.
When you write the lyrics, we can feel the suffering, decay, and everything that comes with your music. And do you agree that this writing this theme still carries some personal weight for you today, or it's completely just writing? How do you process all of these feelings?
I think it's natural when you get older. You're not as sensitive or emotional as you were when you were younger. So, when I was like 20, it was easier to write lyrics because I always had something to write about. Because I lived through a number of different things. Some things were difficult for me. So, like. Uh, I get this urge to always write lyrics to express my feelings and this sort of stuff. But growing up, I'm kind of numb now. I don't have these much feelings, to be honest. So you know it's these days or in recent years, it's I have to enter this zone when I write, and I mostly write about how much I loathe humanity, mostly because I don't like people at all. So I write, I write a lot about that from different perspectives, and I write quite a bit about getting older in meaning slowly nearing death. You
Yeah,
see people around you dropping dead, the whole time. Today, Thomas Lindbergh, Tompa of At the Gates, just died. I
yeah,
met him like a few years ago, and we had some friends in common. So this is the sort of stuff, the whole time there's somebody or that you looked up to that is dying. So that sort of thing found its place into my lyrics in these recent years. It's been a constant. Like there is a bit of an obsession with death and dying, and I reflect upon that sort of stuff.
would you say that at least the last album is a little bit autobiographical for you or not?
All of my records are actually. I always write about stuff that I know about. Like I don't like fantasy lyrics that much. I always wrote about my experiences or things that I see around me.
Hmm.
So my lyrics have always been very rooted in reality, and that's one of the things that made the band different. Because especially in the beginning, all black metal bands were talking about Satan or
Yeah,
I don't know, things that were not rooted in everyday reality. This I always try to sing about the things that I live through or that I can see on the streets and around me. So yeah, there's a lot of ugliness,
yeah.
around. I live through ugliness sometimes even willingly, like trying to be to put myself in terrible situations to experience this sort of shit. And this is what makes things real. I
Yeah,
always try to keep things real.
yeah. You like to live it and then to talk about that.
Yeah, and until it lasts. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know enough to say that, but I do understand what you're saying. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Night floating. It's I don't know. It's a very pretty cool name, but when we hear the name at first, we can have so many images in our head, depending from our perspective and depending on the person that we are. So, what is the concept behind the album?
Um, the songs talk about different things. The title track and the title of the record actually refers to dying, as I was saying.
Yeah.
It's a metaphor about dying. The last line it says "float away into the night," and that's a metaphor for like letting yourself dying. And
Oh.
that's basically the meaning of the song. It's all about that. The rest of the record, there are a lot of songs against humanity, of course, like Despicable Gift. That's one of the songs, for instance. Unsafe Space is another song about modern world. A lot of things that I don't like about modern world, and uh, this sickness wither my heart and a chill that you can't taint are a bit more personal. They
Mhm.
are about myself in a way, like the way I changed over the years. Kind of getting colder. Yeah, as I was saying earlier, less emotional, more like slowly disconnecting from my emotions. This sort of thing. So the chill that you can taint is mine. I am the subject of that lyric, actually.
Do you think with age you become more skeptical,
Sorry.
more skeptical, more, or you
uh,
look at, yeah? Do you think?
uh, yeah, I mean, I always been a pessimist, basically. Yeah, that's the late motive of the band in a way. I am a nihilist in a way. I don't believe in anything. So yeah, I mean, it can only it only gets worse with age. You know. I'm like a Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino, when he hates everybody, sitting on the porch with the beer and hating everybody. Yeah, I'm that kind of person now. So yeah, I suppose I will get even worse if I manage to get older. Yeah,
We have to wait to see, huh?
yeah.
How was the process of recording the album? It was easy for you? It was harder than the previous albums?
It was yeah a bit harder because it was a little scattered in a longer period
Mm-hmm.
because the studio was always booked and so we did the drums and then we had to wait like a month to do something else. So yeah, I mean it went pretty smooth, but we had some breaks in between, and I don't like much to work like that because when I'm doing something, I like to do it like straight away and
Yeah.
not lose focus. So yeah, it took a bit too long for my taste, but in the end, it turned out good, I think. The mix and mastering also took a bit more than usual, especially the mastering. We couldn't find something that we liked. I think mostly me and Alex are the ones in charge of the production normally, and we are getting more and more demanding. Uh, so with every record, we try to achieve a specific thing that we have in mind, and it's not always easy. Sometimes the sound is great, but it's not what we had in mind, so we maybe try to tinker with it a bit too long, and but yeah, in the end, we managed to find a compromise, and people seem to love the production of the latest record, so I guess it's all good.
When you speak to those people that are fans and that listen to your music, do you ever think, or do you ever make this question to yourself, what they are going to take away from this record, from these songs? Or you don't ever think about that? You do, you play, now you do whatever the people want with the record, the feeling and
Uh,
everything.
I think for a long time I was very concerned with not with what people will think about the record, but how I mean I was concerned about the fact that they would understand the record because
Yes, exactly.
I noticed that many times people tend to misunderstand records and bands completely. You know, like. You try to portray a message or something and they completely understand the opposite, so that's very disappointing when it happens. And these days I try to not pay too much attention to that, because that's how the world is these days. Like everything is very fast. People don't really put too much attention on what they're listening to. So they listen to like an excerpt of the record, like I don't like that, you know, or
Keep forward, yeah.
you know, like they don't really put much effort in listening and understanding what you're trying to portray in the record. So it's still a bit frustrating, but you can't help it. You know, like I mean, people is people, unfortunately, and so I try to do my best. And when I'm satisfied about what I created, I just put it out there, and then it's for people to understand it or not. A
Hmm.
lot of times they don't, but still, as long as they show up to the shows and they pay for the ticket, I suppose it's okay.
That means that they, at least they like something. Okay, they
Yeah, they
maybe
like
they didn't.
something.
Exactly, exactly. after
Yeah.
after after these 20 years of career with the band, um what would you think, or what do you think it was your biggest challenge so far?
Good question. Probably trying to survive as a musician was the biggest challenge, because
I do believe
this
it.
is
Yes, I
definitely,
do.
yeah, it's definitely not easy. And so yeah, and, you always have to keep doing something, and sometimes you got to force yourself a bit, like oh, I don't really feel to like in doing this tour or this something else, but you've got to do it because it's your job. So uh in the end I enjoy I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoy when I'm on stage, always, but everything that's around it, sometimes it's a bit of a pain in the ass, like the whole traveling and the hotels and all this sort of stuff, the van, and all this sort of stuff sometimes gets boring. And so that's a bit of a challenge, like getting older, and sometimes you still play the same venue that you played like 15 years ago, and it's like fuck. I'd like to play, I don't know, arenas, and have roadies moving my stuff, this sort of stuff, and it's still you had to build your own stage, like going on stage with the cables and all before the show. So that's a bit of a challenge. Like it gets tiring after all these years. Also, I don't know, sleeping with another person in the room, like another bandmate. Uh, when you're like 45, it starts to get on your nerves. But yeah, that's how it is. If you want to keep it honest, like if you want to keep it underground, if you don't want to go mainstream and
Yeah.
play commercial music, you're not gonna get too big, so too famous, so you're gonna live with that, I suppose.
Mm,
And another challenge is to always keep the band relevant, because there is a lot of competition now. Like when I started playing this sort of depressive style, there we were like 4 or 5 bands in the world, and now there are like 3,000. So every once in a while there are these new kids on the block that everybody seems to love, and and you're like, okay, I've been doing this shit for like 26 years, so it gets a little you always have to remind people that you were doing this earlier, okay, I mean, it's fine if you like this new band, but we have been doing this stuff like 20 years ago,
Yeah.
so they're not doing something new.
Go and listen to us, to the old guys.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget whoever started this shit, and sometimes people tend to forget, or they
Yeah.
just don't know because, we don't get maybe the promotion that other bands get, this sort of stuff. So it's always a bit of a challenge to, uh, you know, say, look, like having people to understand that, this sort of stuff. So you
You,
always have to work hard the
yeah.
whole time.
Harder
You
than the
can't,
others. Yeah.
yeah, you can't just sit and say, yeah, we started this stuff, so we don't need to do anything,
You
because
can't do
people
that.
forget fast. Even if you've been around for a long time, you did like 11 records, still they tend to forget you.
Yeah.
You don't release a record for 5 years, everybody forgot about
Yeah.
you except your hardcore fans. So you always have to try to keep things relevant in a way
Yeah.
or the other.
And then you have another problem with the social media. You have to be there.
Yeah,
Or what do you think about that?
that's another issue because I'm definitely not a social person. I don't really use them
Yeah.
that much. So with the band, our communication is pretty basic. We got a show, end of the post, and then we don't. I don't post anything for I don't know, 2 weeks. Yeah, well, I can't do all the videos and stuff. Even the video interviews is a fairly recent thing because everybody was asking me about this. So I was like, okay, let's finally do this. But I never wanted to do this. So, I had to adapt because
Yeah.
now that's the way it goes. So, but still, I've got some boundaries. There are things that I can't bring myself to do. Young bands, they're always on the social networks, trying to engage with the audience. And I didn't start playing to entertain people, I started playing for myself firstly, and I was like, okay, if people like it, that's great. I will play live shows, but that's it. I don't know. I don't owe people anything. I mean, except for playing good shows and possibly releasing good records. But I don't feel like being on the internet the whole time, telling jokes or telling people how to live. That's
Yeah.
that's not what I'm here for.
Yeah. Are you working on a new record now?
Uh, yes and no. We've been focusing a lot of the live shows in this past year.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been collecting a few riffs here and there. Actually, I have, I will say, 40% of a record written. I still have to write a bit of stuff and arrange a bit of stuff. I will probably get to it in October, November, because we don't have many shows. So, yeah, we'll probably focus a bit on the songwriting. I'd like to release a new record next year, but
Mm-hmm.
we have to see if we can make it in time, with the labels and also, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a bit of a process. Yeah.
Yeah. Before that, you are coming to Portugal to Under the Doom, and
Yeah.
what do you think about the festival, the lineup? What do you think about that?
It's good. We played with a lot of those bands already in other contexts. So yeah, I am glad that we played before My Dying Bride, because I mean it's been a band I looked up to when I was younger, like a teenager. Coincidentally, last week we played in Belgium, and the other band of their former singer was there, High Parasite. So we play with the singer, and now we play with the band, with the new singer, which I know, by the way, Mikro. Uh, and yeah, it's there are a few bands that we met personally, so and it's gonna be good, I think. Also, it's good to play festivals, because normally there's quite a larger attendance,
Hmm.
so we like to play in front of larger audiences. And we haven't played in Portugal, I think, in 10 years.
Wow.
I think. Yeah. So it's gonna be good, I hope. Yeah.
What are you after 10 years? The audience probably has changed a lot. Even we are older, not only you.
Yeah. 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 I
what
was
what
actually surprised that when we did our last headlining tour, there
Mhm.
were a lot of younger people in the audience. That was a nice change. Because I was expecting like the usual old farts like us, but luckily there's been a switch, and all these people listening to depressive black metal, a lot of them showed up.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, maybe they listen to the newer bands, but some of them they still listen to the older bands. So yeah, hopefully it will be the same with Portugal. Eh?
Mhm. Regarding the set list, will you play mostly from Night Floating or you going back to other records?
We don't have much time. I think it's about either 50 minutes or 1 hour, and
1 hour. Hmm.
a 1 hour. Okay. So
I
yeah,
think.
we're playing a couple of songs from Night Floating, and all the old stuff, mostly older stuff.
Hmm. Hmm.
Possibly, yeah, from first three records and something like that. Yeah.
And concerning the actual concert, do you have any, I don't know, kind of concept around the concert, or just the musicians play music?
Yeah, well, when it comes to the shows, we are quite bare bones. Like we don't like the theatrics,
Yeah.
all this sort of stuff. We've always been a bit of a hard rock band. Like we like to play and just hit hard and try to do our best. But yeah, we're not into the whole theatrics. These days are fashionable. They've always been in metal, but these days they're kind of fashionable to dress up with masks and all this sort of stuff. We are not that kind of band. To some, we might look like kind of bland, but we don't care. I mean, we are there for the music, and hopefully the audience is there for the music too.
Yes, they will. It's a great venue. You're gonna like it. Before we leave, can you give a message to the fans that you have in Portugal so they finally decided to buy the ticket and go to the concert uh, to see Forgotten Tom?
Yeah, as I said, we haven't been there in 10 years, so hopefully it won't be other 10 years before we come back to Portugal. But just in case, you should just buy the ticket and come see us, because you never know what happens. So while we are there, you better come and check us out, and all the other great bands that are on the bill, of course.
Absolutely. Leave the moment, leave the music, and don't let anything undone because you'll never know, right?
Yeah, yep.
It was a huge pleasure to have you here. I'm going to be there and I will see you in Lisbon to say hello.
Cool.
And I'm very anxious to see you on stage because 10 years ago I didn't have the chance. So
Ah, yeah.
it will be my first time and it will be great.
Oh, cool.
Have a nice journey to Lisbon and I see you at Under the Dome.
Sure. Thank you for the interview, and see you there.
Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.